we are all overcomplicating it. We're overcomplicating our content. We're overcomplicating our strategy. Just go find the people that have the problem that you solve.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
Recently, I was talking with a college student who said, Jessie, I keep applying for jobs, but I never hear back. And I get it. I have totally been there. It is so frustrating when it feels like your resume is disappearing into the void. And that is one of the reasons that we built our resume database. It flips the hiring process around to a degree, so employers who have active jobs on the site can actually search for candidates whose resumes are in that resume database. So if you've added your resume to the database and they're looking for somebody with your specific set of skills, your name is going to pop up, and then based on the information that's in your resume, they're going to be able to reach out to you and invite you to apply for their positions. It's definitely not a guarantee, but it's one of those quiet advantages that can make a big difference, because the truth is, opportunities don't always show up just because you applied. They often show up because you made yourself visible. So if you are job hunting or you just want to be ready when something opens up, it's absolutely free to set up as part of your job seeker account on Of the West. And you can go to ofthewest.co and either register for a new account, or if you already have an account, you can go log into your dashboard and you can add your resume there. Because like I said, you guys, sometimes it's not about chasing jobs. It's about letting them find you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Leaders of the West. This is week 1 of Mentor March, and I am so thrilled and honored to introduce you to the first mentor we are featuring this month. Her name is Jillian Murphy, and I have worked with Jillian since 2025. I initially met her as an expert coach inside of Chris and Lori Harder's Mentor Collective Mastermind, also referred to as MCM. I've talked a little bit about this in the past, just how transformational MCM was for me when I joined that program last year. I was part of it for 6 months. And again, one of those people that I met inside of that was Jillian. She was a coach inside MCM, specifically focused on sales. And I came to her for a very specific reason. I started working together with Jillian one-on-one. And at the beginning of this year, she put together a very small group of elite entrepreneurs and invited me to be a part of that. So now I have the opportunity to work alongside her with 5 other very high-level, high-achieving, full-on, just badass women. Jillian herself has over 25 years of experience in the corporate world, specifically in food and beverage distribution. She is the person who brought brands that we all know and love, like Boom Chicka Pop and Popcorners, to market. Those are 2 brands that you can absolutely find in my pantry. My children love those. But after her corporate career, she started consulting with a focus on sales strategy and business development. Now, obviously, that is not exactly how Jillian is helping me in my business when it comes to her knowledge and experience in food and beverage distribution. But because I know that so many of you guys who are listening are running some kind of direct-to-consumer business, whether that is selling meat, selling products at farmers markets, building a brand around your operation, and anything in between, we really peel back what it takes to bring a product to life in this conversation. You know, what separates products that succeed from those that don't, what the distribution game actually looks like, and what you need to know if you are very serious about scaling something that you have created. So whether you are somebody who is already selling a product, you've just been thinking about it, we really dive into that with this conversation, and it's going to give you just a lot of the insight and knowledge that you get to work with. So let's get into it. Week 1 of Mentor March, Jillian Murphy. Jillian, we are kicking things right off. I want you to give us your background. You spent decades in corporate sales, specifically food and beverage. That is not, though, how you and I came to know each other. The reason we know each other is because you've since pivoted and you have gone all in on what I would consider you to be a business development and like sales strategist. So
Thanks.
where have you been corporate to where you are now?
Yeah, I love this question. I always feel like it's important for people to know. I actually went to college to be a police officer. I was in the police academy and I got through about 10 weeks of it. And I remember calling my parents and being like, I need to quit this. I'm going to die here. It's terrible. I was actually in the city of Detroit and it was just bad news bears. And my dad's like, cool, that's great. You can go ahead and leave the academy, but you got to get a job. And I was like, okay. I actually got a sales job, like an internship job. And I literally fell in love with it at the age of like 19 years old. I was in food service distribution. So if you think of like Cisco Foods, Gordon Food Service, those were, some of the companies that I had my hands in. And yeah, I started as an entry-level salesperson making like $38,000 a year, not knowing anything, but I knew that I had like a God-given talent to talk to people and serve people and really just solve people's problems. And then fast forward about 24 years, I actually lost my job during the pandemic. I was a ride or die corporate person. I would have like tattooed my company's name on my forehead, and our company got built by investors. And at that point, they cut like a huge part of our company's salaries and I got cut and I didn't know what I was going to do. I very quickly shifted. And when I say quickly shifted, within days to the online space. And I was like, I'm just going to basically take everything that I learned in corporate with sales, messaging, marketing, content, strategies, building businesses from the ground up, idea to execution. And I'm going to take it to the online space. And our good friend Crystal, who was my like very first client I ever had. And I was like, okay, people will like pay me to like help them build their businesses. And now, a couple thousand entrepreneurs later, we have a pretty great little business over here.
Oh, I love that. I'm bringing this up specifically for a couple of reasons. One, it is connected to food, which is obviously agriculture. That's going to be the bulk of the people who are listening to this. But you recently shared this on Instagram. You were snacking on Boom Chicka Pop, which is that pre-made popcorn brand. Everybody, you'd be living under a rock if you didn't know what it was. You shared that you were part of the team that brought that product to market. So at the time, tell us a little bit about that. Was the brand still owned by Angie and her husband? Had they sold to ConAgra yet? Like, tell us about that process.
Yeah, so I was actually in distribution and I actually managed the specialty foods department. So anything that we would find in like a Whole Foods, kind of like a Trader Joe's, Sprouts, like anything that was like higher end. And Angie's had come into us at that time and they had actually asked us to bring it into distribution. And they had actually come up only about 6 or 8 months after Skinny Pop, and everybody was loving Skinny Pop. And it was like, hey, you don't need another specialty popcorn, a healthy popcorn. We already have one healthy popcorn. And they were getting shut down everywhere. But they were in these like farmers markets that were like blowing the roof off of it. Like people absolutely loved it. And back then they had one product that was in a yellow bag. It was their original. And I was like, okay, this is a deal. My higher ups above me do not want me to bring in this popcorn. Like they are against it. We have other popcorns, whatever. I'm like, but if we can sell a truckload, pre-sell a truckload of this yellow bag, then I will give you a spot in distribution. And I'm like, you guys got to go out and you guys got to put it out into stores and markets, come back with basically a PO for me for a truckload of it. And once we get a truckload, I'll give you a spot on the shelf. And they literally went out within days, secured a truckload of distribution from all these people that really wanted it, like from farmers market stores, little markets or whatever, did that. And then brought it back to us. We started with the original bag. From there, we ended up bringing in smaller bags, bigger bags, bundle packs. We did like pre-sales. They used to have like Halloween popcorn back in the day. They used to have Valentine's Day popcorn back in the day. And it became one of our like signature items in our distribution. And we outsold Skinny Pop.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the reason that I ask that is there are a number of listeners who have built businesses and they have products like Boom Chicka Pop. We have people with jerky brands. We have tallow brands. A lot of them would ideally want to be found in a Sprouts, a Whole Foods, a Trader Joe's, again, whatever that looks like. And I know that we are also coming into a time in America where people want to have access to those individually owned brands in food and bev. Most of them right now are going to be selling direct to consumer, but I know a lot of them have bigger things or scaling that product on their hearts. So what advice would you have for somebody who wants to create a nationally known food brand? What is that process like?
This is probably one of my favorite podcasts I've ever been on because this is like what I literally did for 25 years. Like, let's freaking go. Number one, I think the biggest thing when people want to get into distribution is you really need to know what sets you apart. You guys, I would get sent chips, popcorn, jerky, chocolate bars, kombucha, spring sodas every single day. And I was like, cool, what actually makes this different? And I'll tell you the things that actually stick out to a buyer is when it's a little bit different on the shelf. So the biggest thing, going back to Boom Chicka Pop, the biggest thing that stuck out was their color palette, because they had bright yellow, bright pink, bright orange, and they had teal back in the day. So when you go through a snack aisle and everything has this like normal color, it really stood out. So that was something that really drew my attention for that. Another brand that I helped bring to market was Health-Ade Kombucha. So if you guys think about Health-Ade Kombucha, I know probably a lot of you guys love it. It was the size of their bottle. It had like a very big bottom. So back then, GT's kombucha was like all the rage, and they were these skinny, tall bottles. But Health-Ade stuck out, one, because of the labeling, but because of the size. So we love to see things that either like a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, a little girthier, a little taller, like whatever those things tend to be that are really going to set it apart, because that's one of the first things that's going to drive people, because people buy with their eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we've even seen that with Graza, the olive oil, how they have the, I don't even know how I would explain it, but basically instead of having to take the top off the olive oil and you pour a massive amount, it's more of a, like the sprayer type format. That is the reason that brand has done so well. So it's a product that has to look a little bit different. Mm-hmm. What are other features?
Yeah, I think another thing that is really good is when I was a buyer back in distribution, and again, we help get products into, huge stores, Targets, whatnot. If they already came to me with people that wanted to buy it. So I'll never forget Popcorners. If you guys know the Popcorners brand, it's a popcorn that's actually like a triangle chip. It's kind of like a chip meets a popcorn.
My household lives on Popcorners.
Okay, so this is a great story about Popcorners. When Popcorners came into me, I was like, I don't need another chip. And I sure in the hell don't need another popcorn. And what they did was they actually went out and they sold to JetBlue Airlines. They got them to be the official snack of JetBlue Airlines, but they had no one to distribute it. So then they came back to us and they said, hey, we just became the official snack of JetBlue Airlines. And it's like 1.5 ounce bag. Do you want the distribution on that? Well, hell yeah, we do. So the brands that could bring us, like either stores like, hey, Whole Foods really wants this, but there's not a way that we can distribute it to them. What people don't realize, like with a lot of those stores, is even though they're national, they're making decisions at like smaller levels. So it's like the Midwest level or the California level or the Western level, right? So it's like if you could start to go in and just get like one or get like a group of them that wanted it, like people would say to us like, hey, 42 Whole Food stores wants these. It's like, okay, well, 42 of them want it. We'll bring it in and then we'll see how it goes and we'll roll it out to the rest of them.
Right, because there are a lot of products that are regionally focused. So I can find them in my Costco. I can't find it in a Costco in Texas.
Yeah, like I don't have Goodles at my Costco.
Which is crazy because we have Goodles by the pallet at our Costco.
I don't have it. I'm like going to revoke my membership because there's no Goodles there.
I'll just ship you some. We'll be even.
I'm obsessed.
Okay, so they've got to have obviously proof of concept, customers who already want the product. It needs to look a little different. Yeah. Anything else that people should keep in mind? What about something that as far as like the volume? Because I think that is something that is obviously you don't want to place a company in distribution if they are not going to have a volume to meet the demand.
That is huge, right? So people would come to us and they'd be like, hey, I'm making this salsa in my grandmother's kitchen right now, and I absolutely love it. And we loved the salsa, or we would love the chip or the chocolate or the drink or whatever. But it's like, okay, once we put this in distribution and we have 217 salesmen in 26 states that we're in, and we launch Donkey Salsa, let's say, do you have the means and the manufacturing to go do it? And for a lot of these companies, they don't. And I get that. So the biggest piece of advice I would give you for that is to start with like a local distributor, like someone who's just kind of local. Don't try to go into like a Cisco or a US Foods or a Gordon that's in like a national distributor or like a UNFI or a KeHE. Go in somewhere a little bit smaller, maybe someone that just tackles like the Michigan market or the Chicago market, and start to see if you can actually keep up, because there is nothing worse than us bringing in a product and you're not being able to keep up with demand. Also, having a broker is really important, because most of the people that are selling a product, like they're making a jerky or they're making a kombucha, they don't know business. They don't understand like distribution. So you need to really hire a broker that then can come in, because we already have the relationship. So let's say, for an example, Health-Ade Kombucha. We'll just use that for an example. If Health-Ade knocked down my door, they're not really going to get my attention. But if the Infinity Group brokerage came in, who I've already bought hundreds of products for, and they're like, hey, we love this new kombucha, it's actually better. And I was really fortunate because I worked for a huge distributor and my father owned a huge brokerage. So all these brands, I would say like, hey, you need to go reach out to Larry. He's the owner of the Infinity Group. get in as a broker and then let him come back and resell these to us. So I do think like when the people who use brokers, and there's many different brokers, but my dad was a really big one for us, we were able to really bring in some other brands.
Oh, that is perfect. That is absolutely genius. Okay. So this is one that I feel like is a little bit different, but is still very important. So obviously, when a company is looking to go through a distributor, they're looking to wholesale that product. But right now, a lot of them, especially if they have proof of concept, are trying to prove that they're going to be retailing their product. And that can cause friction down the road when they are trying to be both a retailer and a wholesaler. So at what point do they focus on really flipping that switch, going one way or the other?
I think by the time you're thinking about distribution, you have to ask yourself, like, which one do you want? Because like we would have this problem. Like there's this brand Donkey Chips. This is like literally who I'm reminding it of. We would sell like a truckload of Donkey Chips, let's say for like $1.98 a bag. And they would be out there selling it for like $1.69 a bag because they weren't going through distribution. And it's like, we're actually losing business to the company that we brought in. Like this doesn't make any sense. Like you have to come into a distributor and then also allow us maybe to cap it. So it's like, hey, I want my chips to always be under $2 a bag or whatever it is. And then we run it on promotion at different times of the year where you can get it for the $1.69. But I'll tell you, most big brands that came into distribution, they no longer were selling individually to retailers. They had to go through a distributor to get it at that point.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to kind of flip gears here because
I love this conversation though.
You and I have worked together.
My friend Kim, literally, I tell you this Boom Chicka Pop story. My friend Kim the other day was like, you have so much knowledge in distribution. Why are you not on people's podcasts talking about this? So I love that we're having this conversation today because I'm like, let's freaking go.
Well, and here you are. So Jillian, one of the reasons that I wanted to get you on the show, one, we've worked together for a number of months now, and I just so appreciate you as a business mind and also as a friend. But two, I really wanted to focus the month of March on mentors in my life, and I consider you to be just that. So the reason that I have personally worked with you has nothing to do with your distribution knowledge. I'm not trying to sell any kind of food or bev product, although that is a lot of the people that I have that opportunity and the honor of working with. But one of the things that I admire about you is you run a multiple 7-figure business with a very small team. You basically only have a couple of other people. You have a very limited number of products. So I would consider you to be very focused in what you do. And you do so very simply. But again, you have a multiple 7-figure business. And you're pretty dang vocal in saying that most of us overcomplicate our businesses. So tell us more.
Yeah, I think that and thank you for that. I definitely consider you a great friend as well. And I'm so glad that God, the universe, whatever it is that you guys believe in, like brought us together because I'm just so grateful for you. But this is the thing. We are all overcomplicating it. We're overcomplicating our content. We're overcomplicating our strategy. Just go find the people that have the problem that you solve. It's literally as simple as that. And just have conversations. Hey, Jesse, I saw that you're looking to do X, Y, and Z. This is exactly what I do. What's the opportunity for you and I to work together? Like I built my entire business on heartbeats and conversations. Like I literally say that, like that's all it really was like, how many people can I just get to talk to and get to know about their business? And maybe Jesse never buys from me or Rebecca never buys from me or Chris never buys from me, but they know someone. And we talked about this yesterday on my podcast, like the importance of your network. And every single person that you touch really should be about building relationship capital. And I have a really great friend. His name's Jeff Fenster. He actually owns the fastest growing franchise in America right now called Everbowl. If you guys have ever eaten at an Everbowl. And he wrote this book called Relationship Capital. And one of the things that he taught me in this book was treat your friends in your network like an ATM. And before you guys cringe and be like, this feels very transactional, you have to make deposits over and over and over before you ever ask for a withdrawal. So for an example, if I'm going to meet Jesse, I'm going to be like, hey, what are you working on? How can I support you? What's an introduction I can make for you? That is a deposit into Jesse. Then if I need something, it's not weird when I then ask for a withdrawal.
Yeah, you absolutely cannot go to an ATM and put your card in and have it spit out money unless you have money in the account. So what you are doing with that relationship is you are giving, which in this example is you're putting that good into the world. You're putting money into the account so that then at some point when you do need it, if you need it, you have the opportunity to withdraw.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And I think for a lot of us, we hear people online like, oh, I have a 7-figure business. I have a 6-figure business. I have a multiple 6-figure business. You guys, they're not taking anywhere close to that money home. I always joke, I was in a mastermind for 5 years and I had the smallest business in there, even at multiple 7 figures, and I made the most amount of money. And it's hard for us sometimes to be like, oh, well, this person has a $10 million business or $8 million business or whatever it is. But it's like, there's so many other things. And when I left corporate, I was like, I don't want to manage teams. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to be answering calls 24 hours a day. So I built my business around simplicity and what that looks like. And I've also been fortunate because everything that I've built, I can literally pass on to my clients. I just did a training with Jessie today and I taught about visibility in leads. There's nothing that I did not teach today that somebody who is making no money in their business cannot do. But imagine if I was like, hey, I spend $100,000 a month on ads and I have 18 people on my team. That's great, but you can't duplicate that. So I wanted people to be able to build their business just like me and not have to have a bunch of people or tech.
Well, and you have done that so phenomenally. I think one of the areas that really helps you focus in on that, and you, again, have been very vocal about how you and your team work in 90-day sprints. And I think that this is so vital. Again, whether you own your own business, even whether you're working for somebody else, I'm sure you can give examples about working in 90-day sprints when you worked in corporate America too, because it really does help narrow your focus. And I think so many of us will find ourselves getting shiny object syndrome, or we feel overwhelmed and burn out. And a lot of that is because we're trying to manage too many things, chase too many things. So what have you found works so well with that 90-day sprint?
Yeah, I think we talked about this yesterday on my podcast, and maybe I'm getting you confused with somebody else. We talked about the container in which we get things done. That was you,
Yes,
right? On the podcast.
that was us.
Yeah, that's a great example, you guys. If you have a year to hit your sales target, you might wait 10 months before you build out your webinar or your funnel or whatever, and then try to crank it in at the last end of the month. But when you work in 90-day sprints, you're able to see what's working. You're able to get data. You're able to make tweaks, and you're also able to see like the business as a whole. So yes, I can work in a year's time frame, but I'm not going to be as motivated and as activated to do it if I have a 90-day sprint. I think that's important. I also think my team knows that too. I also set my sales goal for 11 months, not 12 months, because I don't want to still be selling and running around like a maniac in December. I want to use December to take time off, maybe see my family, be with my daughter, watch 18 hours of Grey's Anatomy if I want to, eat some Goodles, right? Like whatever that is, I don't want to still be like stressed to the brim. I have so many friends that are in the corporate space that like on December 29th, they're still stressed out. And it's like, I do not want to do that anymore. So our sales targets go from January until the end of November.
And that is something that we actually do intentionally as well. And part of that is because I know I'm always going to be gone for the first couple of weeks of December with the National Finals Rodeo and with Justin's roping schedule. Then we come back home and it's Christmas, or you have a week basically of like holiday programs and all the kids' school Christmas type activities. And then we're gone for break. Obviously, with our other businesses, we have end of the year things to focus on. Mm-hmm. So I know as a business owner, my business is not going to get my time and attention as much as it would need in the month of December. I also know people are not looking for jobs in that time frame. They already have their holiday plans. If you've made it through October, chances are you are not changing jobs because you've got your bonus, right? Like, why am I not going to hold out till my end of the year bonus? All of your health insurance, all of those things. Employers are also not typically hiring because it's a busy time for them, end of the year things for many of them. Obviously, people are out with holidays and travel and they're using up those vacation days. And oftentimes they do not have the budget to hire like they will at the beginning of the next year. So we notice a very slow season when it comes to the job side in the end of November, probably the last 6 weeks of the year. So we specifically work ahead of that so that we know in those slow seasons, we can work on our own business instead of working for other people, which is what we do the other, however many weeks of the year.
Yeah, it is so true. And I think that people need to remember that, like, it is that time of year for everybody.
Mm-hmm. But it also took us a while. You have to be very intentional and pay attention to those cycles within your business because we know people are also not looking for internships in the summer. By the time the summer rolls around, people already have their internship. So we're very in tune with those different cycles in our business. And then we're able to kind of brace when we know things are going to be slower and when we know they're going to be very busy. It's all hands on deck and we're ready for that. And I am very thankful that we have paid attention to that because it's definitely set us up for the success that we have now.
Yeah, you guys paying attention to that data is so important. And even when you're choosing a mentor or you're choosing a business strategist, anyone, like the longer you're with them, the more that they also understand your business, right? Like we have our friend Lindsay who's in our mastermind with us, and I know what her January is like. She's been my client for 2 years. It's like, I know what my business is like in January. I know what my business is like in the summer. So the more data that you have, actually the better.
Well, and even too, going back on the food and bev side of things, if you have a potato chip that is a product and you are not thinking about the Super Bowl as probably being one of the bigger times that people are going to be eating your chip or doing the marketing behind that for those types of opportunities, again, whether that is Memorial Day, 4th of July, the Super Bowl, whatever that looks like you have to be very aware of how different seasons and cycles are impacting your business so you can be ahead, one, on the product side of things, but two, on the marketing of that product.
Yeah, and how people eat at different times of the year, right? It's like we eat things that are more comfort food in the colder months. People on the West Coast eat different people on the East Coast. Like I live here in Scottsdale. People eat so different than how they ate in Michigan, where I was from, in the Midwest in the winter, and all those things. So all of those things really make a difference when you're looking at your data.
Okay, I cannot let you go without diving into some sales stuff because after all, that is totally your superpower. And again, whether it is through your corporate work, your work now, you're a freaking sales ninja, Jillian. Like that is what you are. So most of us are overcomplicating sales. Break down, where do you see most people going wrong?
I think the biggest thing that people go wrong is they actually don't believe in what it is that they're selling. I know you might be sitting on this podcast today being like, no, I actually love my jerky, or I love my jeans, or I love whatever. You have got to be so bought in to your product that you are willing to talk about it everywhere you go, every single day of the week. And if you're not, that's okay. It just means you have to go back to the drawing board. We just had the situation happen in our mastermind, right? It's like, if you're not totally obsessed with what you're selling, people can feel your energy. I'm going to go back to Boom Chicka Pop. Like they had such an energy when they came in. They were obsessed with their popcorn. And because of that, I became obsessed with their popcorn. And there was a lot of other popcorns guys that came across my desk that probably were just as good, but maybe even better, but didn't have the same energy behind it. And you want people or yourself, people feel the energy behind the work that you're putting out.
Well, and if you think about it, yeah, why am I going to eat a product when the person who is making the product in their garage, which is how Angie started making her Boom Chicka Pop popcorn, if she's not passionate about it, why am I going to want to buy it and eat it?
Yeah, I got to tell you guys a quick story about this. So I was at a farmer's market. We have farmer's markets back in the Midwest, and I do not like pineapple and I do not like cheesecake, like two of my least favorite things in the planet to eat. And I was walking through this farmer's market, and there was this man with a cooler, and he was like, I got the best cheesecake in the entire world. And guys, he had a line around him, okay? And he was talking about this cheesecake and how he made it, and it was his grandma's recipe and graham cracker crumbs. And he was obsessed with this cheesecake. I ended up buying a $13 piece of cheesecake. I remember getting home, and my partner at the time, Jason, was like, we don't eat cheesecake and we hate pineapples. And I'm like, I have to tell you, this guy was so excited about his cheesecake. So then guess what happened? I got excited about his cheesecake. And I was selling Jason on this cheesecake. And I'm like, this is such a prime example when you feel someone else's energy. I was like, no, babe, you got to try it. It's made in his grandma's kitchen. It's graham cracker crust. And he's like, what did you eat at this farmer's market? But it was literally that same thing, that it was I was so excited to share his product because he was so excited to share his product.
Okay, so we need people to get excited about their product.
Like a damn shit.
Right? And then don't overcomplicate it. That's the other thing.
That's it. Simple as that. Easy peasy.
Okay. What other advice? I feel like we hit a whole bunch of topics, a range, which I love about you.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say when it comes to sales is quit trying to sell to a cold audience, which means, let's just use jerky for an example. Don't try to sell to women who eat salads if that's not your ideal demographic. I see so many people selling stuff to people that it's actually not even who their ideal client is. I always use Target as an example. Target sells as much as they do because they know who's walking through the door. They know who their ideal avatar is, right? If all of a sudden the front of Target was fishing rods and jerky, nothing against jerky, but fishing rods and jerky, they wouldn't have the same sales. But they're already selling to an audience that's warm when they come in the door. So quit trying to sell stuff to cold market.
I think that is genius. And especially what you hit on about the customer avatar. If you are listening and you have a business any kind of business, it doesn't have to be product-based or not. Even if it is a service, you absolutely need to have a customer avatar.
Yeah.
And what that is a detailed description of who the person is that is your ideal audience, what their name is, how old they are, what they are wearing, what they are thinking in that moment, their problems. Like, it needs to be a full notebook page of details about this person. And then any time that you have marketing that you are going to put out into the universe, you run it past your avatar and you say, is this going to resonate with Jillian, who is my ideal audience member, or whatever, again, whatever you've named them. And I know that sounds a little woo-woo, but I am telling you guys, the most successful businesses that you know, they have customer avatars that they run everything past.
Even, let's just say, like a former client, like we just talked about Crystal, my client that was in the mastermind. I remember when I created this program that I have called Infinity, I ran it through Crystal. I was like, would this get excited to you? Would you buy this? Would you click on this? Would you pay for this? Because she's my ideal client. She's already been in my world. So there's also nothing wrong with taking people that are your ideal clients and asking them questions as well and running through things past them. You know, Lindsay, I might throw my lead magnet at her and be like, hey, if you saw this on my Instagram stories, would it be something that you would want to go to? Yeah, absolutely.
And that is honestly such genius because you've already built trust with that person. And so they know far more about you and your business. And we know how crucial building trust is when it comes to doing any kind of relationship with anybody. Again, whether it is business, personal, you've got to be putting money in that ATM in order to get it back. You've got to be building trust. You have to be getting excited about your products. Okay, rapid fire round, because we only have a few more minutes before Jillian's got to run. What do you hope people remember most about you?
That I was just really real and really authentic.
What is a non-negotiable in your life?
Not setting an alarm clock.
If you were a professional athlete, what would your walk-up song be?
The Man by Taylor Swift.
Ooh, okay. What's the smartest thing someone's ever told you?
Leave people better than you found them.
Okay, and last thing, favorite things. Do you have a favorite book or product, a program, life hack, something that has changed your life and you just think more people need to know about it?
This is going to sound so random, but I use a weighted sleep blanket for my eyes only. It's called the Mod Pod, and it's like my favorite thing, and it helps me sleep so good. Think about a weighted blanket that's like the size of your like hand, and it just goes on your eyes. It's remarkable.
That is genius.
Yeah.
I feel like, and it's also relaxing. It kind of like, it emulates the heaviness of your eyes when you want to fall asleep. Okay.
It's so good.
What brand was it? Say that again.
It's called Mod Pod.
We'll make sure to link that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Jillian, what have you got going on that you want people to go look at? Where can they find you?
Yeah. Come over and check me out on my podcast. We actually just changed the name. So it's the Jillian Murphy Show. Come over, check me out, listen to a podcast episode or two, and then please come over and follow me on Instagram at the Jillian Murphy. Slide into my DMs. Tell me what you're working on. And I'd love to get to know you if you're a friend of Jesse's.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, you guys, as I mentioned earlier, Jillian, she is somebody who I consider to be a mentor in my life. She's somebody who we've worked together for the last well over 6 months now and has quickly turned into a friend. She is so real. She is somebody who you guys know that I love movers and shakers. Jillian is somebody who she is moving forward. She is making decisions. She is making it happen. I am not waiting around on people who have analysis paralysis. You know, that is my biggest, I hate the word pet peeve, but like frustration with people in life. Jillian is moving, which I want to be led by that kind of person because I want to be making moves in my life. Again, personally and professionally, she is doing just that. She is a business development queen. She is a sales strategist. She really is. She's got it all and then some. So make sure you're following her. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys, will be back here next week with a brand new episode, continuing on with our Mentor March theme. So you'll hear from another mentor of mine next week. We'll see you then.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessie. Appreciate you.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.